Well, how does the routine of the familiar of your life, all those familiar things that you kind of get into a routine or maybe even sometimes a rut, how do those things blind you to seeing new possibilities in others and yourself?
I think sometimes you get so caught up in like, this is the way my life is, I'm cool with this, that you forget to see things when they come by. Like when there's a new kid, sometimes you forget. And then like one of my best friends, she came to our school as a new kid, and at first I really didn't like her because she was new, and she was all like, yeah, I'm going to try out for the soccer team. And she made varsity, and I didn't. And I was really upset, and so I hated her. And so this year I actually like tried to talk to her and gave her a chance and forgot that she started out as an outsider. And now we're actually like pretty good friends. And she's like a good person, and I'm glad I gave her that second chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it also sort of, I don't know, I think we can get, sort of with what Ali said, that we can get too comfortable with where we are, or we just get to going and we sort of, I don't know, we sort of, maybe it blinds us to the possibilities that we might have, or the opportunities that lie ahead of us, because we're just so stuck in our routine.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about when I thought about this question? I thought about camp in the summer.
Absolutely.
And how that is pretty routine for a lot of kids who go on a regular basis. But what about that first time camper that comes, and there's a group of friends in the cabin, and this person is new to everything, doesn't even know how everything works, you know? And if we get so caught up in the fact that we know what camp is all about, and we know where things are, and we know how it works, that we don't even open ourselves to the possibility of someone else in our midst.
And I can totally see that. Like there's always that group of people that have been friends for so long that sometimes they don't see that there's someone new. Like I know I've always struggled with that because, you know, Eli Wilson's my cousin. Worship him, praise him, and I never quite fit in with his crowd. And I know for a long time I always felt like I didn't belong at camp because I didn't belong in his group. And so last year I actually like got to spend time with his friends, and then they became my friends. And last year I finally felt like I was accepted at camp. I didn't even cry.
That's cool.
I too, Eli Wilson ties in my story. All about Eli, but yeah, he was in my cabin this year at camp. I was with Eli, Staven, Connor, Dylan. It's a great time. And there was one kid who I'd never seen before. His name is Jason. He's a great guy, and he totally changed my camp experience. I thought, he was a nice enough guy going in. I wasn't really sure about him. It's absolutely changed the way my camp went. You know, I was pumped because I had all these cool guys in my cabin. You know, I was ready to hang out with them, have a good summer. But it was Jason who truly made a difference in my camp experience. And through his stories, I really felt touched. And I felt more touched than I had even in my first year of camp. Because, you know, first year at camp was a big deal for me. But having a new person come in that had so many great stories, and it really impacted my life.
Isn't that cool how that gives new meaning to that piece of the scripture to give sight to the blind?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
So Eli ties into mine as well.
Oh my gosh.
We're not like a friend group for anybody. I'd like to say I try to associate myself with everybody at camp, but if not, I apologize to anybody that I've
Left out.
Yeah, I try to kind of wander around to everybody or hobble around it. That was interesting camp experience. Anyway, me and Eli, I've always known Eli, and I've always been alright with him. Like, he was always there my entire camp experience. I've known Eli. We've never been super, super close, but at the very end of camp this year, I think it was the last day or the second to last day during morning service, we got on the outsides of the tabernacle. We held hands with the people next to us, and we prayed for each person on each side. And Eli was standing next to me, and this was his last year at camp, I believe. And when we did our thing, I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of awkward. I don't know him that well. I can't give him this really long, deep one. And when Eli did his prayer for me, it was one of the most meaningful prayers I think I've ever gotten towards myself. And it just, he pointed out things that he noticed about me that I never thought anybody else would notice. And he had all these things to say about me. And it was, that last day and that moment with him pretty much made my entire camp experience. And me and him have gotten along really well after that. Like, and it was a really good experience for me. So
Cool.
I guess I'm the odd one out.
Yeah,
I don't have
no,
stories.
Another question I have is, what abuse or oppression or injustice that you see other people suffer make you wish you were blind? And that can be global or that can be local in your school. I mean, it doesn't,
I see it on the news a lot. I mean, you see just horrible stories. You know, the Vietnam vet, holding that kid hostage. You can just see so many just awful things. And to think that's just one of the many that are even going on right that second. And I think that's only in your country. To think of how many countries there are and how many bad things can happen. It really does make you wish you could, stick your head in the sand and just let it go away and have your own little world. Which I think is partially why electronics are so popular. Because you can have that, you can have
Escape.
your own little world. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can have your escape.
Yeah.
And it's not really healthy, but,
Yeah.
but I can definitely see that. And it goes on locally, too. It happens in your school. It's definitely not good to stick your head in the sand. I feel like if I did that, I wouldn't be any better off. You just feel like you weren't doing anything.
I think something that wants to make me blind is the fact that so many other people are letting themselves be blind. Not that being blind to issues is a problem, but there's so many issues going along in our nation alone that so many people are either not paying attention to or not addressing correctly or putting too much attention on that are causing more issues to happen. Like a lot of these school shootings that have happened, like Newtown and like Columbine and stuff in the past, and this is just my personal belief on it, but I feel like the fact that each of these killers is made out to be made out to be obviously a monster, but their name is in every household across America, and they get so much spotlight that even sort of not necessarily glorifies, but for that person that's in the same situation as that person was before, it's that outlook of, oh, I've been neglected my entire life, this person does this one thing and everybody's showing attention to them kind of thing. I feel like it's causing way too many issues in not every household, but a lot of people across America can name these different killers from these different things, but most people can't name a single one of the victims. And I feel like that's very, very wrong. And like, I mean, I'm a victim of that too. Like I couldn't name a single one of those kids, and that's because a lot of the media doesn't go to them,
How do you guys struggle with this dilemma of seeing and not wanting to see this suffering in our world?
I'm going to have to actually disagree and say that I'm glad I see all of it, and I wish I could see even more of it, because it gives me that reminder that my life, for all its flaws, is rather perfect, and I'm lucky to have the one I have. No matter what happens, I know it can always be worse. And B, knowing that all that stuff out there is happening gives me an idea, like, how I want the future to look and how I can change it. And so I like being able to see all the bad things. I don't like the bad things happening, but I wouldn't want to be blind, because you would miss that experience of seeing something bad and hoping that one day you could change it.
I think it'd be really hard right now to be able to be blind to all of that, because, you'd have to completely disconnect yourself, and, it's really not a good thing to blind yourself. I mean, maybe that would solve your problems for a little while, but there's always going to be bad things, and if everyone were to be in their own little world, then nothing good would ever happen, because no one would care.
I think for me, I mean, I don't really deal with it. I think to some extent I do hide my head in the sand, And I think that I tend to only let the things in that aren't that painful. Those are a lot of times the only thing that I let in, or the things that I could actually do something about and help fix. You know, I focus on those, but I really don't focus on the things that I can't, you know. Maybe that's how I deal with it. I don't know. May not be the best way.
I think we're all pretty guilty of that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about how many opportunities you've ever had to, change someone's day or to make a difference somewhere else, to me that really scares me too, is how much I could have done, but it didn't do for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I think we're all guilty of that, but, we're all human, and so the best way to do that is just to try to just have a little bit more of a conscious effort into really noticing those little things.
Well, and hopefully this week at Rally, when we think about Christ's mission is our mission, that opens up new possibilities and new windows for us to see and understand in a whole different way, to where maybe we want to see more and we want to be available more. I mean, who knows what'll happen?